All right, guys. So large scale events. We're just going to jump right into this. And we have Overwatch planning. I mean, I think the Overwatch planning is something we just kind of added to this. I mean, it's certainly a part of a large scale event. So maybe Overwatch is, hey, we've got some civil unrest that's taking place. Um, and we need to make sure that we've got eyes on a an event, or maybe it's a um, large emergency, as a hazmat or a train derailment or something along those side those in that world. The same lessons apply to both of these to everything here. So that's why it says Overwatch planning. So I'm gonna just get started here. Well, I thought I was. There it is. Today we're just going to be going over the basics of this. Again, cannot give you um, enough in an hour. We're going to try to give you some things to think about with maximizing the software to get your work done, and then I'm going to do my best to try to fly through these slides so we can have some interactive discussion. Large scale events, as I mentioned, we've participated over the Super Bowl. I love taking that picture. That was such a good, fun shot to take. We were at this last Super Bowl out in Louisiana. So Melissa, we had our folks down in your territory. You guys are looking over. I mentioned civil unrest, so that's George Floyd, right? 2019 in Austin. We had a crazy time that we were dealing with there. Large scale music event down in the center, and then on the lower right and left, you guys will see that. I mean, these large scale events. This is actually something we need to be planning for as well, and those are our disaster responses. So don't just think like, "Hey, I've got to have a you know a everything ironed out for the fun stuff, right? But I've got to be prepared for the disaster response as well. Good news is this all fits together, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, what you're doing for a large scale sporting event, large scale music event, something really cool, the rodeo that Melissa had mentioned, the same lessons are going to apply for participating at these disaster responses. So these are some of the events that we've participated in, or we continue to participate in. I mentioned the World Cup. That's going to be a really crazy event. You guys can imagine. Here is taking place in Texas, so it's going to be over 3 different cities, right, throughout the state of Texas, and the state is crazy big. So now it's going to be our large scale event. Is how do we coordinate resources throughout the state of Texas at 3 large metropolitan cities, how we're all communicating that information back to the TOC, so or the Tactical Operations Center. So we've got a lot that we're involved with, and these are just some things that you guys should be thinking about. Hey, maybe I haven't had one of these yet, but you're going to at some point. It could be the line of duty death, right? And that is a large scale event. If you guys haven't been a part of an LODD before, they're bananas, right? We throw everything at it for the family and friends, the department, and that is a large scale event. So just because you may be in an area where you're not getting civil unrest, or you may not have this Super Bowl, a lot of these other things, active attacks at our schools, our shopping centers, they can all apply to you. So a lot of the commonalities that we will have in this is that these things always happen. We can be guaranteed that there will always be a large scale event somewhere going on at some time. It's just the nature of this business, right? So we know that. So be prepared. It's always going to happen, and they always will require a little bit of extra planning, a little bit extra equipment, right? We got to know that we got to manage airspace. We're going to have crewed and uncrewed flying together. We got to have our personnel not only ready to show up, but they got to be able to be trained. I got to have enough toilet paper to make this happen. And you guys may be laughing right now. I hope you're laughing at the toilet paper thing, but it's for a real issue. So these are things that you want to make sure that you're thinking about as we move forward here. They'll always need you, right? Is unmanned aircraft systems is just where it's going. I mean, people are frustrated now if they don't have us show up, and you'll have to be able to work as a team. This upper picture in the upper left, that was when actually that's Hurricane Helene. That was us just getting this last year coming back from North Carolina. All right, so Final Four. This is just an example of what this can look like using our system, but I'll go into more detail here a little bit later of what this is actually what that slide is for. I think it was actually out of place, to be honest with you. Planning. So when we're talking about getting a large scale event up and going, start planning yesterday, folks. I mean, and I sincerely mean that. Start talking yesterday. make sure that you develop, just like anything else, any other plan, we need to know the who, the what, and the where, right? We don't know the when, but the who, the what, and the where. So we know that we got to know who are our players in that area. This picture in the upper left, that's just my old team working. This is one of our launch sites that we had for civil unrest. We do a lot of training at this particular place. It's got some challenging RF signals. It's got some challenging landing areas. So we like to practice there a lot. So the who was just our team. But if you look down below, that's Hurricane Helene. Hurricane Helene, we had people show up from all over the state. In fact, we had people from all over the country come in. But we had people coming in from all over the place to help Asheville, North Carolina out. So we actually didn't know the who at that time, but we all knew that if the next disaster, we would have to learn how to get our souls together. So we knew that the who was going to expand. The what, you call it, we've already talked about what some of these events look like, and the where, that's kind of the wild card, right? But it's always going to end up at a location. So we know that this is something we need to be able to prepare for. And if it's a where, we need to be thinking about our packing list, right? That's no joke. We need to be able to have everything in Ops Hub. We need to be able to fly through that system and be able to invite people into the org, because as these large scale events, especially the disaster responses, scale very, very quickly. So we need to have somebody that can track that. You need to have a roster. You need to know who's on the team. First step, actually, in any one of these things, when I mentioned the who, is you got to know who's on your team. We need to know how we can get magic video links out to the right people and who's tracking those magic video links. If you guys haven't looked, those magic video links actually show you how many people are viewing your video streams. That's something you guys need to be considering whenever you're going out to one of these large scale events, to make sure you know what to do if it ends up getting out in the wild. And we need to be able to immediately brief our people on what is going on with this event. So when we're talking about briefing, we need to talk about ICS forms. Now, for you folks that are coming from organizations that may not be very heavy into the incident command system, go find go find a hose dragger or emergency manager. Go find somebody maybe from EMS. And it is if you have a team on the PD side that does a lot of special events, find them and tie in with them and start learning about the incident command forms, because the incident command system, or the forms that come in this, are going to be crucial whenever you guys develop your program. So be thinking of a 205. That's just a comms plan. Like, these are just pre defined forms. So each one of these forms has I'll show you what one looks like here in a second. 205 form is just designed specifically for communications, assignment lists, 204s, org charts, right? We need to be able to have an air ops plan, because we need to be able to communicate with other folks in the airspace. I'm going to show you what an IAP actually looks like here. Give me 1 second. I think I can do this. Yeah, here we go. So I just pulled up an IAP as an example. This is we did the Tesla opening a few years ago. God, 2022 was so long ago. But we put an ops plan together, right? So this ops plan was something that was printed out, so everybody was on the same sheet of music ahead of time. So when I mentioned having our mission sharing codes, we had them. When we wanted to talk about our QR code, our magic video link, we had it posted on here, right? We knew when we were going into this operation, it was ridiculous, man. There was all kinds of crazy things happening at this event, that we developed this incident action plan so we could hand it out to everybody, and it had a 205 form. So you guys were asking, like, what's a 205 when he's talking about these ICS forms? This is what a 205 looks like. And this is actually a way for us all to communicate off the same sheet of music, right? We wanted to divide up our maps. We knew exactly where we were working at it. So if we had somebody over on the alpha side of the structure, we knew exactly what it looked like for them to be there. So these are things, this is just an example of what an IEP can look like. I won't say should look like, but it goes all the way down to that roster that I mentioned, right? Is the who, making sure that you have contact information for everybody that's going to be showing up for your event. So I just thought I'd maybe just show you guys that and see if it maybe helped describe what I'm trying to communicate here when I'm talking about an IAP. All
Hey,
right.
Coit, I sent you and Alex my flight ops plan that I've made up. It's similar to that. Feel free to share that with anybody.
Thank you. Yes. Alex, is there any way you can put that into something that we can get out to the folks here?
Yeah, hang on.
Hell yeah. Sean, that's awesome. Thanks, bud. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is why we all show up together. All right, so equipment. You're thinking about equipment, guys. You got to be thinking about stuff that can work in the environment that you're in. So you're looking at a picture right there that's downtown Austin, and that environment is in a concrete box, right? So we're working we're working in a parking garage here, and that's a lot of RF energy that we need to be able to push out into the city to be able to overcome everybody that's on Facebook Live, right? We need to be able to overcome the microwave dishes that are throwing a lot of RF or energy through the city. So we got to have equipment that's made and designed for this. So if you're flying equipment that when you key up on your radio and it blocks out your screen, you need to be looking at some other equipment, right? So you need to make sure that you got the appropriate equipment. I put a sensor payloads here for your um, drones themselves, right? So if you're going to be flying out here, you better be able to have a zoom camera and something that works well because you're going to be doing standoff if you're going to be at any of these large scale events. So make sure you have a drone that has a good zoom camera on it. You can see this is kind of the way we set up our multi-aircraft flight line operations. We have two teams on either side of that battery charging station in the center. And you're like, hey, why does he have that? Well, it's because we have so much radio energy, RF energy coming off of our controllers, trying to push out and maximize it into the world there. And we also have our portable radios, and we'll actually take our portable radios and scoot those to the side. Is we want to be able to maximize that area, so we separate pilots with a charging station, right? So they're not the streams are not crossing as much as they would if they were right next to one another. They're not interfering with one another. So if you guys are thinking about this and you're thinking, hey, I need a flight line, think about just getting a third table in there so you guys can just space yourselves apart. We're used to being crammed up next to one another, and it's no good for a large scale event. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're not going to be getting that the streams or the good data back to the instant commander if you guys are right next to one another. Any questions on that? All right, hopefully that's hitting right. All right, so data. Talk about data. I'm going to start with this one over my Alex. I know this one makes you happy. The iPhone picture there. So you guys are you guys. I know a lot of you guys on the LE side have to use your department issued phones, right? Department issued phones are good for hotspots, but they're not great for hotspots. And the reason I say that is because they're not dedicated just to that operation that you're using, right? That hotspot that you have on your phone is also taking other calls. That hotspot is also the processors are managing all these other apps in the background. So your phones, you may find when you're in the field that you are not getting a great video stream, and I hate to say it, it's not going back to us, right? And we're going to deflect the issues here and say, listen, guys, this is not our issue. It is actually a data issue. So if you're using your cell phones as a hotspot, you need to be thinking about, hey, what carrier am I on? What part of my county am I in? How many other people are jamming up that system right now? Because I'm at a music festival and I've got everybody on Verizon at that time. So hotspots are really important, and dedicated hotspots are the key. So I throw down here. I throw down the lower left hand side, the dedicated AT&T hotspot. That's one I carry around. Works out really well. It works out really well as long as I'm in a good area for AT&T. If I get into an area that FirstNet's not working out really well, it's not too great for me. So then I'm going to push up to this upper level, that what's called a plum case. Plum case actually has multiple SIM cards in it, right? So you may have Verizon, T-Mobile, and a AT&T cards in there. So it's actually able to take in all of these carriers and put that information out. That's a really cool system if you guys haven't seen it. One of our go-tos, though, guys, is going to be this little Starlink over here in the upper left. That's over with the Super Bowl. So Starlinks are really good with data down. They're moderate with pushing data up. Good news about a Starlink is you can just hook it up. I mean, you can hook these things up now to your cars, right, and get energy off your car to be able to keep these things running if you don't have a generator. But just know that there are some limitations with pushing that data back up. So maybe you're getting that data down so you can do airspace separation, but you're not getting great data pushed up, that upload speed, because the Starlink is just not excellent for that. I'm going to swing over here to the far right hand side. We found when we were up on top of our hotels and on top of these different venues, that plugging a landline in, like coming out of a landline, and dropping that into a routing system and having direct contact with the city's network was the best way that we were able to make things happen. And as you guys will see, there is also, I've got a cow cellular on wheels that's provided by AT&T on that one up in that upper right. If you're fortunate enough to be close to one of these guys, obviously you're going to have some good connections. I just saw a hand go up. All right, my hand must be down. So when we're looking at data, guys, you're probably used to going to your phone and doing a speed test. What we want all of you guys to be doing now is you can still run that speed test, right? It's going to show your up speed or your download speed and your upload speed. So that's critical when you're out in the field. And if you just go into speed test on your phone, you'll find that. But the better option, and we found this, and it's a free option, is you guys need to be going to Cloudflare. All right. Cloudflare is a excellent tool, and it's free too. It's not like Okaloosa, which is what I have over on the left-hand side, where you type in speed test and it pops up. Cloudflare, you just go into Cloudflare and you just put in speed test. It's actually going to pull up a lot of information that speed test on your left-hand side is not showing you. So if you're looking here, this is just at my house. I've got 486 down. I got 17.8 up. That's pretty tight. That's going to work really well in our system. We usually say, like, if you got 10 and 10 in the system, you're going to be bringing in information down and pushing information up with no problem. But as you guys will look down, you'll see that it says network quality scores. All right, that network quality score is why this Cloudflare is so good. Because if your video streaming is good, right, if your online gaming is good or average, you are going to be just fine in the out in the field. So that network quality score is actually what we really like to look at. It actually helps us define what is working well out in the field. Airspace management. So I talked about having good download speeds, right? So I want to know where everybody is at. We're going to bring that telemetry in. We want to know who is in the airspace when we're operating at any one of these events, and that's crewed or uncrewed aviation. So down below, we're going to start in the lower left. That's a remote ID module. All right, so that is a remote ID that was used over the Super Bowl. We use these we're going to be using an Indy 500, pulls up that remote ID so we can see other drones in the air, right? Just to the right of that, that's going to be, who did I have on this one? I think that was Flight Radar. Yep, Flight Radar. Flight Radar is what we used to use all the time before, catch this, before we had ADS-B built into DroneSense. So if you didn't know this, here's something really good for you guys. You have ADS-B in your system, so you can watch all of your aircraft coming in to your airspace through DroneSense. You don't have to use a third-party app like we have here. Just to the right of that, this is going to be our drone detection device. I can't remember if this was Aerial Armor or D-Drone. I guess same thing right now. But this is a drone detection device. We'll also be using these over at the Indy 500. Indy 500 is really good, guys. So what we do, just so you know, at this large-scale event is we have what's called ground intercept teams or GIT teams, GIT teams. Those teams will use we work with some federal agencies that have some RF detection capabilities. And we have ground teams that walk around with their phones on, and we track who's walking where, because we have mobile streaming and tracking from DroneSense, so we can see where everybody's at. And we can show when hits are coming up on the screens, and we know when a drone takes off and is in a bad area, like over the Indy 500, and we will send the ground intercept team over to where the drone took off at. We'll just put a pin on the map, and they'll look down at their phones, and they'll go right to the pin, and then they'll go have their conversation with the folks that launched that drone. Super effective. Super effective. And it's combining RF detection or drone detection equipment with mobile streaming and tracking, and it gets the job done real well. And then over to the right hand side, this is, I think that's one of our UT football games. We have a lot of people that end up showing up to work to practice at these fun events, right? So UT football game, I mentioned this because everybody that you're seeing on the screen here can't read who all we have. I know we have EMS, we have fire department, we have Texas DPS. Not sure if Parks and Wildlife was there. I know we bring in people, just so this is something to think about. Practice the way you play. We bring people into any of our large scale events here in the city of Austin. We bring people into the fun stuff so they get used to practicing together. So when they go out for the disaster events, everybody already knows each other and they already know how to share mission codes, right? They already know what a magic video link is. They already know if they look on Ops Hub, they can see where everybody's at to deconflict the airspace. So we actually use these fun things to train for the disaster event. So keep that in mind. If you get nothing else out of this, know the who, what, and where, and make sure you're planning the logistics, but invite people over so they can practice at fun events. Melissa, you gotta be bringing people over that rodeo. I mean, for real, like you got that many people at the rodeo, start bringing people out to train there. It's
We
fun.
have some people that come.
What's that?
We do. We have some people that come out here.
Solid. That's it. That's the game right there. That's the game. It just pulls us all together fast. All right, personnel and training. I think this is probably pretty simple for everybody, right? Do you have are you guys ready to practice the way you play? If not, you need to get there. They need to know how to put in a shared mission code into their phones. Because if they don't know how to do that, that's step one. You're not going to be able to work together in that airspace. You need to be able to define your positions. Now, we have learned a lot by going to these different events. And again, this class could be a whole day. We've learned that one of the most important positions on that flight line is actually the data specialist, right? Because that data specialist is taking in all the information and sending that information out. That's a really important position, is finding some nerd that's good at typing on a computer and processing all this information so they can get that information out to folks. Next person is really important. Is you got multiple aircraft flying in one area, you better have somebody manage that flight line. We call it an LZ manager. We got 4 aircraft, right? And they're just coming in and coming out. There's just constant flights. And that's the minimal. Like we'll start off with 4 aircraft and then we build from there, making sure somebody's calling out that flight line, right? Hey, I'm coming in, I'm going off on my approach. I'm heading out right for heading out. I'm going to be coming in on my left-hand side for my approach, right? So making sure that you have a clear flight line operations is really important. We have something that's called a mission specialist that we run. And this is just because we've been practicing this so long. We've actually created a position, and that person's position is just to communicate directly with Insta Command and then pushes back down to the flight line, right? So that's their position only. I mean, think of it like your lieutenant or your cap or your whoever you have in your organization goes direct with command and then pushes it back out to the flight line. So we break this up. Span of control is really important for us because we are out there for, sometimes days at a time, and we need to be able to operate efficiently. So you need to be able to, determine if you are able to work with other organizations. Again, if you aren't practicing the way you play, if you're not getting out with your neighbors ahead of time, you may have some problems. So practice ahead of time, guys. So when Hurricane Helene shows up, everybody knows each other and everybody's coming in high-fiving and everybody feels comfortable with what they're doing, right? That's important. I always say know your bench, because if you don't know your bench, if you got people that are during any one of these events, somebody's kid has diarrhea at home, somebody's got to go to a funeral. I mean, there's things that pop up. We've got to be able to have a deep bench so you can call in other people to make sure that you can take care of this event. Let's see here. All right, logistics. If you guys, I hope you can read this right here. I love this. You will not find it difficult to prove that battles, campaigns, and even wars have been won or lost primarily because of logistics. I mean, that's simple. That is a simple statement, and you will, if you read anything about campaigns, war history, you will know that the logistical chain is what knocks out everybody, right? You've got to be able to get the toilet paper up to the line, front line, period. And so when I say this, you've got to be able to think through this entire event ahead of time. So when you're at speed, you're already there. So have your MRP. An MRP is a mission ready package. I got examples of it if you need it. An MRP is a pre-made list of what all I need to have for certain level events. So, hey, if it's a civil unrest, MRP comes out, whack. I know exactly what I'm prepared. I'm going out the door with. I got a MRP heavy. This is going to be something that's going to last over 24 hours. I got another list. Bam. It's going to include sleeping bags. It's going to include MREs. It's going to include water. So make sure that you have all this done ahead of time. So all you have to do is open up the envelope and pull out your list. Hey, Mike.
How much beef jerky is included in that?
Make sure if Mike Trailer comes with you that you have beef jerky, y'all, because he can run. His body is actually he can process beef jerky like nobody else. He can go days with a chair and beef jerky. All right, so I'm gonna just go pulling this thread a little bit, right? So we're talking about logistics. You say, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring my generator with me. Cool, I got my generator. Okay, but wait a minute. What goes with a generator? Well, I better have some electrical cords because my generator is not going to be right next to my flight crew. So I better get some electrical cords. All right. I've got to have some fuel to run that generator. I guess I skipped one here. I got to have some fuel to run that generator. And it's got to be constant. I got to have enough to get me through my rodeo or my musical event or my civil unrest that's going on for weeks at a time. I need to have chargers, right? So my extension cords have to go to something. So I'm going to get a power strip so I can plug in everything, and I got to have my chargers ready to go. Oh, wait a minute. If I have my chargers, I got to have battery. I got to have plenty of batteries because as soon as a drone comes in, especially if you're flying down south, y'all, those batteries are going to be hot. They're going to need to get put in an air conditioned unit and cooled off before they can even go on those chargers to be recharged. So you better have enough batteries to be able to run continuous operations. So be thinking like that, right? Is hey, four sets of batteries will keep me moving, right? Keep me constant in the air. That's really, really important, y'all, because as you think, okay, I'm going to fly for 27 to 32 minutes on this aircraft that's flying, beating the air into submission. You're going to come back down. And you're going to have hot batteries. It's going to take those things a long time to charge because you got to cool them off and then you got to get them on the charger. So be thinking extra batteries. So when your thought process again is go through and pull the threads on your logistic cord and just look at what all your guys are going to need. Communications, I mentioned that 205. Have a plan, guys. Have a plan. Have it written out already. So if you are showing up on scene, you know who you can talk to on what. So make sure you have their cell phones. Make sure you have radios with the common radio frequencies, right? Make sure that you have a VHF radio. If you're going out to a disaster response and you don't have a VHF radio, you're wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're wrong. You say, well, hey, I can't operate a VHF radio. If drone hits an aircraft, they're not going to care about your VHF radio, guys. Have a VHF radio. Make sure that if you're going out to a disaster response, that you have a way to communicate with the aircraft that are up in the air. I'm just going to say that really clear. Make sure if you're going to a disaster response that you have a way to communicate with the aircraft up in the air, because that aircraft in the state of Texas, if you're going to come out to Houston for a hurricane, you're going to have an aircraft that's going to be coming from El Paso, the other side of the state, to come help. Right? You're going to have somebody coming from Austin to come help. They will not be on your same TAC channels. So make sure you have a way to communicate, especially with those manned aircraft. If you show up at a disaster without a VHF radio, you're wrong. All right. How to maximize this. So thinking about magic video links. I'm going to kind of go into this is kind of high level, y'all. Again, can't drop down too hard into this, but magic video links, you can, just so you know, you can create as many of them as you need to create. All right. So if you have a large scale event, you have one magic video link and you say, oh, that's all I need. That's perfect. But if you want to create one for the media and the PEIO, just go back down there to where it says create a video link and create a second one. right? You can create as many of them as via MVLs as you want. Hey, I got a MVL for the rodeo day 1, MVL for rodeo day 2, MVL for rodeo day 3. You can create as many of them as you want, y'all. So just know that you have that capacity. You can do that. Ops Hub, if you haven't started working with Ops Hub and got in with the mission layer, the mission feature layers, you need to reach out to us, right? We have Mike Traylor and Alex Armstrong. They're both from our learning development team. They have great learning, a great learning program and great techniques to teach you how to create these mission feature layers. So if you're looking down on those pictures right now, those are mission feature layers, right? Those are things that are already pre-made, and we just kind of run and trace an area around. Like you'll see the bottom left is a school. Last night I did this. I just put some colors around this because we know that if we divide an area of operation up into colors, it's super easy for us to be able to focus on those areas, right? So use our mission feature layers, use our markers. We have some new markers out now. If you haven't seen those for wildland, and we have for NWCG, and then we have markers for SARCOP. You say, what's SARCOP? SARCOP is a marker system that FEMA uses, okay? That FEMA uses. You say, oh, that's kind of important. Yeah, because when a disaster comes in and you're dropping those markers, everybody from the FEMA teams can understand what you're communicating with. If you're fighting a wildfire, we have NWCG markers. Those are specific to wildfire. You drop those markers down, all the wildland firefighters know what you're dealing with. So again, we have all this built into Ops Hub. We have API integrations in case you guys didn't know this already. If you're working on integrating into tactical assault kits or the Android tactical assault kits, to Fuses, other programs using Skydios, we have an API that we can turn on for you that will allow you to use these other systems with DroneSense. We also have a ton of opportunities with our Esri layers and Geospatial, right? And when I say Geospatial, I think that's my next slide here. Nope, that's not it. Geospatial is going to be dropping in a GeoTIFF, which looks like this map in my lower left. It's just a pre-created map that another company has created, and we drop it into our system. So you can see it not only on Ops Hub, but you'll see that same map on your controller. You'll see that same map on your phones that you're using. So we can bring in these pre-made maps, drop them in, and everybody can have them on their phones and their controllers and their laptops. Everybody's operating off the same playing field, right? They're operating off the same map. So this is just something. This way this is old school, guys. This is what we did back in 2019. So like it looks old because it is, but this is our George Floyd event. We still use this map today. I mean, it's old, but we still use it today. We gridded out our city. We gridded it out into zones. So we knew that if we were going to be covering the Austin Police Department, when they were having a lot of these shenanigans were going on, then we knew that you were going to be flying from Zone 4, right? And we knew who was covering it. If we were going to be covering City Hall, we knew that you'd probably be in Zone 5 off the Hilton and flying over to Zone 5. If you were going to be down with Texas DPS, we knew that you would be down at the Capitol area, right? So we all knew we had this divided out ahead of time. That's already said, pre-planned. We had this divided out ahead of time. So if you were communicating with that other organization that you were going to fly into their airspace, that you would call them on the phone or hit them up on the radio and say, hey, I'm tracking, some guy that's driving crazy down Trinity. You would communicate with that zone that you were coming into. So everybody knew where their area of operation was at that time. Use this same plan, folks, for all your large scale music events. We were talking about the NHL, right? You're have some of these big events. Our Final Four, we divide everything up the same way using our mission feature layers. This is a pretty cool map. So we were just did this. We flew over the event ahead of time. We took all those images of Austin city limits and we put them all together, right? So as we were taking these pictures, this was kind of a byproduct of us taking these pictures. So as we snapped all these photos, we were able to put them into Pix4D, and we were able to have this cool map that we could show everybody ahead of time what that event looked like. And then we took it from there. Oops. And then we took those pictures, we created an ortho mosaic. Oops, excuse me. And drop that into our system. So we were able to take those images, drop it into DroneSense, and then we were able to draw around all of the different tents, different stages. We labeled everything. So when everybody's flying, we know exactly where you're at. When you call out, hey, I've got a large crowd that's running over emergency egress number 3, right? We know where emergency egress 3 is. Everybody has it on their phones. Everybody has it on their drones. If I'm launching from LZ Bravo, we know that was the fire department taking off. We knew that they were covering the AMAX pavilion. So it was all done ahead of time. And you guys can see, like, there's some good detail here. I mean, this is what it looks like, finished product. If we actually draw around, so we know where our light tower's at. We know where the AMX stage is exactly. So that map is actually super detailed. And this is just us taking in our pictures, creating an ortho mosaic, and dropping it into DroneSense. We call it Geospatial. It's our imagery layers. All right. I think this is just this is ACL. This is just what it looks like when we're actually operating, right? So you guys can see, hey, we all know exactly where we're at. We all know who's who. We know where everybody was launching from. Everybody had a pre-designated area they were supposed to be working from. That's a lot of people there. Looks like ants. So again, practice the way you play. Get out ahead of time and make this happen ahead of time. Practice the way you play. It's very, very important that this is not the day that you come out and you start all of this. Start off with some training, show up for do something fun like this, and then show up for a disaster response. Oh, in case you guys didn't know, you guys can swing your videos on top of each of your aircraft like that. It's just a little pane that we click on. And it will slide your image on top of that drone, so you'll know exactly who is seeing what. Because over on the right hand side, if you don't know everybody's names, it can kind of get lost and confused. All right, GeoPDFs and GeoTIFFs. I showed you what a TIFF looks like by dropping that ortho mosaic in. This is just another picture of a Geo PDF. So this is us taking a map that was created by somebody else, dropping into our system and using those mission feature layers to be able to organize this. Left-hand side is an operational map for a large fire up in Northern California that any of you fire guys on here, you may recognize that. Over the right is just a school district. All right. So again, really cool tool that you guys may not even know about that we have access to. All right. So with this, we're going to open up for some questions. Wanted to leave enough time for some questions. I know it flew by that quickly, but before you do anything, I need you guys to hit us up for this for an evaluation. All right, there's going to be 2 slides here. First slide is going to be an evaluation. You tell everybody that I was terrible, and that will get back up to my bosses, which is great. And then the next slide is going to be a support slide. And then we're just going to open mics and we're going to talk about this out loud, because I really want to hear from you guys what you need and what we can do to make this better for you. So I'm going to do a 10 count on this slide. If you haven't taken your phones out, please hit me up and give me an evaluation. It's an 8, a 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and next slide is going to be my contact information. Put that in your phone. You call me if you need anything. That's going to be my cell number. So do not hesitate to call if you need help. If you take a picture of this is going to create a contact card. All right. And that contact card is for our support line. That support line is really important for y'all. If you haven't, if you didn't know that already, we have a 24/7 support line. You need to be able, if you're having problems out in the field, at any time, you need to call that support line that will create what's called a ticket, and that will get that to one of us where we can help you out. So take a picture of that, create your card, and then save that in your phone and send that to the rest of your team members. With that, we're going to go open mic and let's just talk about what we went through. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any comments? Open mics.
I guess I'll just ask real quick, was that link, I know Alex posted it, but was that link able to be downloaded by JR or anybody else? Feel free to change those around as you need to. That's the one that I created.
Thanks so much for that. Did that make it through,
Sean,
guys?
there should have been 2 documents in the webinar chat. You should have been able to download. One was called blank flight ops. It was just called flight ops.
Is there anybody that can share that in fact did make it through? Open mics, y'all.
Yeah, I was able to download them both.
My man,
Thanks, Frank.
Frank. Thanks.
Yeah, and then another link I dropped in there was for the geospatial and how to pull those images, those maps up on the controller. And that's not just the controller; it's any of the DroneSense apps. So even if you're running MSAT and you want to pull and you've got geospatial add-on, you can pull up those same PDFs and TIFFs in MSAT and really get everybody on the same page.
Hey, Melissa.
Sorry.
Anything that we can do to help anybody else on here?
Not that I
Any
can think of.
questions? All right.
Coy, there's a message from Brian just asking about a longer version of this. Brian, feel free to hit any of us up and we could sit down and kind of go through specific things that you've got that you want to do. We can help you get those maps set up. We can go through countless different scenarios, but we can probably really tailor this best to your agency and what you guys are trying to do. Because we could ask a small town agency about their big event. It might just be a couple hundred people where Sean Qualley's got to drop his 1.2 million attendance. We might as well just have let Sean lead this with his 1.2 million. But
dude,
it's a lot
the
of trial
lessons
and
he's
error.
learned.
A lot of trial and error. We and actually what we're doing with our team now is we're doing a lot of our small city events. So we're talking 2,000-3,000 people. But we've got our agencies, neighboring agencies calling us up saying, hey, can you fly for this event? Can you fly for that? We have a concert in our local town here where we only get about 5,000 people at it. But I'm not flying the 2.1 million, but I am overseeing the drone operations for counter drone for that event. But it is another one of our partners that's on DroneSense. And, I've hit Coit and Alex up during that event last year and said, hey, this isn't working. What's the problem? And they've gotten back to me quickly to fix it.
Thanks for that, man. Hey, so like I'm looking at Brian's statement, 2 cars and a stoplight. It's a big event for us. All right. I'm hearing that, right? I'm hearing that. But Mike, Alex, and myself, Brandon Carr and myself, we all made it out to Asheville, North Carolina, right? Asheville, North Carolina. That's actually a pretty good sized town. That you could say, okay, I could see it in Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville was literally underwater, y'all. Literally underwater. They had all kinds of things going on. Their infrastructure was beat to snot. They were calling for help. So here's my point, right? My point is 2 cars and a stoplight. You guys got to be able to, when your neighbors call and say, hey, we need some help, that you're able to show up and show up with your game, right? Show up and say, hey, I remember that guy, he was talking about some ICS forms. There are forms we need to fill out. Or, hey, I remember we need to have toilet paper and beef jerky for Mike Trailer. So you need to be thinking about, like, okay, this isn't just for y'all. We're public safety. We work together as a team. So if it's not just for you, be prepared for that next call. Be prepared for, hey, that Super Bowl's coming, and they're going to be looking for some folks in your neighborhood to be helping out, because that show moves all over the place. Or this active attack happened. You're going to need to be able to answer that call when it comes in. So be prepared for it. It's for real. Like, it's just a matter of time. It happens to all of us, and that's what it's all about.
For those that are on here that aren't familiar, it will happen. Last year in February, I was called to help start to coordinate for a line of duty death funeral where we had over 12,000 people attend. And then less than 4 weeks later, we had another one, 8,000 people attended. And I actually ran that operation. They called me specifically for that one just because of the help I did with the first one. And the home agency wanted to run it. They were on DroneSense or DroneSense agency, but they couldn't because they were allocating their resources to everything else during that event.
They're spent. And that's just it, guys. Like the agency that's losing the officer, that's losing the firefighter, the agency that just got hit by the hurricane or the floods, they can't. They got families at home that they're trying to take care of. Like they're done. They're cooked, man. So Sean, thank you for that, man. That you're right. And those LADDs, I brought that up earlier. I'm glad you brought that up again because, man, that happens to all of us. And that's a large scale event for sure.
And something you hit on earlier, and I know for law enforcement, ICS is a dirty word, but we're not great at it. Been in law enforcement for almost 30 years. but when you get to these large events, the Asheville's, the disaster response, things like that, you've got to be able to be practiced in it. So do tabletops, do things like that, train with your neighboring agencies, because that, that's how it's going to have to work, because, interoperability, and think about, if something happens for your agency and we come running, whether, everybody comes in, how are you going to divide up everybody? Are you going to do task forces, things like that? How are you going to control everything? So there's that ICS structure we're all trained on. We just need to be able to practice it. Because they're talking to us about ICS forms, and we went, what? And they're like, Coit, what is that? And play to each other's strengths. So if you get somebody that's great with ICS stuff, you have a resident hose dragger, just right there for me. Let's do that. The other thing to think about, just like you're talking about for your environment, are you Florida? I'm going to throw up canopies and things like that to keep sun off everybody. So what do you have to be operational? But really be planning for that. So, and that's really critical for these big events and things like that. So, it just, teamwork is the most critical thing here.
My man, you said all the right things there. And teamwork. For show. Yeah, Sean put up community parades. Dude, Santa Claus comes down y'all's main street, most of y'all's main street. Man, if you're not practicing watching Santa Claus come over and taking that magic video link, here's one for you. The people that pay your paychecks, the people that make the money, the city managers, they love to see Santa Claus come down the street. They love to see all the bright lights. So when you create that magic video link, create one for the PIO and media, slide that over to their direction, right? So then you're all getting that attention and you're still up doing your job. Hey, Gil. Was it Gil or Mike Christie? Who was it that had their hands first?
It was me, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, so I've been traveling along. I'm going down to see my my granddaughter graduate from North Carolina State, but I pulled over in a rest stop because I wanted to make this comment.
Wow.
The other day, a few weeks ago, I should say, when we had that shooting up here, I learned something that was very valuable. You were talking about communication. I pulled Casey Campbell, who's a pilot, in. He was busy, but he came right up because I needed him. I had a news helicopter flying around real close, and we had to, duck down. But he was able to communicate with that helicopter, and we worked it out to where he stayed out far enough away. He knew we were there, and everything worked out perfectly. So that's an advantage to having that VHF radio, and possibly a pilot that knows the lingo.
That's right.
Yep.
That's
all right,
it.
I'm going to get going again.
Hey, Mike Christie, the fact that you pulled over to share that meant a lot. Thank you, man. That's cool.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
you're
that.
welcome.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah, I guess, I mentioned that I learned something new every time on this from you guys. I guess you keep mentioning like making a magic video link for the city manager and this and that. I guess, what is the benefit we already create one magic video link for like the commander, the incident command post and all that, and the people that are going to do that too.
Yep.
Does it make sense then to create a second link for that same time frame for that manager person? And what does that mean?
Yeah, so the reason for that is you can throw those in the garbage can at any point, right? So that magic video link that they have, when you get done with your event and Santa Claus has passed you by, you hit garbage can, and that tie back to them is gone, right? And you're still going to remain on your operational video, that other video link. So you're going to create a video link that's only shared with your guest, as an example. And then you throw it in the garbage can when you're done, and they don't have access back to, patrol or whatever you're flying under, special events. It's only for that event. So yeah, man, I would definitely do that. I'm glad you brought that up.
And when we do ours, we create an event or a mission for that event specific. So if I have both video links up and active, same time frames, or maybe one's 2 days long, but then one is only 1 day for the manager. Both those links are going to work at the exact same time.
Correct.
Yeah, learn something new.
Yep. Thanks, man. Hey, Eric just asked a question. He said, we're fairly small, fairly new drone team that haven't really been using the ops plan section of DroneSense much. But we have a marathon coming up next month that I think it would be beneficial for. Where would it be best to place to start to get to try to familiarize? Man, I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm going to throw out any Mike, Alex, and I. I've got ops plans. Man, I'll share it with you. Sean just shared an ops plan with you, Eric. Were you able to get that? Eric, were you able to get that ops plan? Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. So, and then what I would say is, if you have my contact info or Alex's contact info, my contact information, hit us up. Alex actually is the guy that runs for us, he runs the Marine Corps Marathon. So you're going to get Marine Corps Marathon, you're going to get the New York City Marathon, you're going to get the Boston Marathon. Like those are the three big marathons. And Alex Armstrong is one of the guys that runs that. That dude's got some marathon information behind him. And we can also tie you in with other folks that are using DroneSense that are running. So if you want to talk to Mike Pavone from Boston, he can help you out. And I know you say you're small and you're new and you got a new program up and going, but this is the beauty of us all working together.
Hey, Coyd, I just dropped a link, and anybody can use this to schedule a time, either 60 minutes or 2 hours, an hour or 2 hours with us, and we can
awesome.
sit down. I mean, we have some self-led tutorials and some stuff in our support site, but at least I think most of us are going to work best by just asking questions and giving us specific, ideas, or give us your ideas and we'll work together. I worked with a large state agency for a multi-location event that took place across the state of New York, and they had half a dozen plus different sites. So we sat down, divided up their ops plans, and just tackled them together. So they took half of them, I took another half, and then we built out this multi-location event that they wanted to monitor in Ops Hub. So that's one of the beauties of shared missions. You send us a shared mission code, I can pull up on my account, plug in stuff for you to help you out, and help you build this together. And we can make it as simple or as complex as you want. We try not to go too crazy, because too much information can clutter things up, but put in there what's relevant and what's going to help.
All right, y'all. I'm looking at time right now. We're a little bit after. We had 54 people, I think, on this call, something like that, 54, 56, I don't know, 50 something. If we can get y'all to join us on Fridays as well. So every Friday we got a working group, and this is for all of us. This is where the information, you bet, Rob. This is where the information comes out on our next releases. This is where we all get together and we all get to know each other, right? Every Friday it's just we all talk. So please, thanks, Dave. Hop on that link, register yourselves for the working group, and come in on Fridays, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time every Friday. Jeff Burns, appreciate you. What is the link to that working group? I wasn't able to find it after class 1. Should be right there. Erica, you should be able to see it just above. You see it? Hey, Erica, were you able to find that? Sent by Alex. You come on, go open mic, Erica.
On the chat, are you talking about? Because the last link I see is dronesense.chilipiper.com. Ownership. That's the only link I see.
Can Alex, Mike, can you guys see this? Did I put host and panelists to the working group?
You did the host and panelist, yeah. I can I'll get it in there in just a second.
Oh, to everyone. Oh, that's what I didn't do.
No worries. I got you here right now. Yep.
Thanks,
Good
man.
Until-
help is hard to find.
Yep. Sorry, guys. That was my fault. All right. So, Erica. Yep. Cool. You got it. All right. So, this Friday, a couple days from now, hopefully we'll get to see y'all's faces there, and we'll look forward to 2 weeks from now having the next class. Thank you very much for your questions, your attention, and your time. We appreciate you. And we'll sign off. See you guys. Bye.